The Google deletion system is still holding your data right now, and the FTC can't stop it. You press delete. Google sent the confirmation. But in a backup cluster, your search history is sitting intact, untouched by any erasure protocol. The FTC issued a formal order requiring that data to be destroyed. The order was accepted. The cluster was never emptied. Here is the internal document that explains exactly why. Google calls it a deletion protocol. It is the system behind every data removal confirmation you have ever received. It governs what happens when you open My Activity, tap the trash icon, and watch your history disappear from the screen. Google launched it as a transparency feature, proof that users control their own data. They built a dashboard around it. Senators cited it in hearings as evidence that self-regulation was working. The deletion protocol was supposed to end the conversation, and it is a real system. Records get flagged, requests get processed, timestamps get logged. What it does not do, and what Google has never publicly clarified, is actually remove anything from storage. The flag is called a tombstone. It is an internal marker that Google applies to a data record when a deletion request is processed. A tombstoned record disappears from your dashboard. It will not appear in a data export. It is invisible to you. But it exists in Google's storage infrastructure, fully intact, readable by internal systems, sitting outside the deletion timeline that applies to your visible data. This is not a theory. Google disclosed the tombstone architecture in internal documents surfaced during the 2022 incognito mode class action, the lawsuit that ultimately settled for $5 billion. The documents showed that after a user deletes their history, tombstone records persist in backup infrastructure for periods that vary by data type. Search queries, location pings, add interaction logs, voice assistant recordings. Each category carries its own retention window. Some are 18 months, some are flagged as indefinite. The tombstone does not expire the data. It makes the data invisible to the person who asked for it to disappear. And it's still running. The FTC saw this. In 2023, the Commission issued a formal order against Google requiring verifiable deletion of specific data categories, with documented audit trails proving actual destruction. Google's response was to present the tombstone system as evidence of full compliance. The FTC's own technical staff flagged the gap. A tombstone record is not a deleted record. The Commission escalated. Google's legal team submitted a filing arguing that backup infrastructure operates on a separate deletion schedule governed by operational necessity, and that the relevant statute did not define deletion at the storage architecture level. The FTC accepted a modified compliance framework. The backup clusters were not addressed, and it's still running. Here is the mechanism. Google operates across hundreds of data centers using a distributed storage architecture. When you delete a record, the tombstone flag propagates across active nodes, the servers handling live queries. But the backup replication layer runs on a separate write cycle. Cold storage clusters receive periodic snapshots, not real-time updates. A deletion flag set on a Tuesday may not reach a cold storage snapshot until the next scheduled backup window, which runs on 30, 60, or 90-day cycles depending on cluster tier. Here is the legal loophole that makes this permanent. And here is the part nobody reported. The regulator already knew about it. Under both US and EU data protection frameworks, data held in backup systems for operational continuity is classified differently than active data. The GDPR's right to erasure, Article 17, explicitly carves out backup infrastructure in its implementation guidance. Google did not lobby for this exemption. They found it in the regulation and built their entire deletion architecture around it. Every confirmation you have ever received from Google was technically accurate for active systems only. The backup layer, the layer that holds your complete, unredacted data history, has never been covered by a single consumer-facing deletion guarantee Google has ever published. The searches you deleted in 2021, in 2018, in 2014, they are in cold storage, indexed, and it's still running. What does this mean for your data right now? Every query you have ever typed into Google, every medical symptom, every financial question, every search you ran at midnight and assumed was gone, has a tombstone in an infrastructure your deletion request never reached. That data is accessible to Google's internal teams under standard data access policies. It is accessible under a valid legal subpoena. It is accessible in the event of a breach of Google's backup systems, a category of incident that has occurred at Google and at every major cloud provider operating at this scale. When regulators said your data was deleted, they meant your active profile was tombstoned. When Google said your data was deleted, they meant the same thing. The distance between those two statements and actual deletion is a backup cluster that has been running uninterrupted since before the regulation designed to stop it was written. So who benefits from a deletion system that does not delete? The advertisers paying Google based on the depth of its audience model have a direct financial interest in that cold storage staying intact. The legal teams using backup exemptions to narrow liability have an interest in the definition staying ambiguous. The regulators who accepted the tombstone as compliance have an interest in not reopening that question. Nobody in that chain benefits from finding out what is actually in the cluster. The only person who benefits from knowing is you. And right now, you don't know what's in yours.